I know that I am pushing out pure delight. Inspired by Genesis 1:3, and God said, "The light shall be," and the light was. The light is pure consciousness, pure delight, the one and only true fundamental reality created by God, existing now in a perfect, everlasting state of bliss. As in the end, there's only God. Beyond the illusory appearances, there is only God. God is reality. Reality is now. The true nature of reality is delight. Only delight is real. And the temptations that seem to appear to point away from bliss are illusions generated in mind that appear to disappear to reflect the reality of bliss, pure delight. Thus, always dwell in the end state. The end is where we begin. Now, the individual has the ability to experience delight, as delight is pure consciousness, as I wrote here. Pure consciousness is delightful, and thus created in the perfect image of the Creator is the individual beyond identification to illusions of separation from delight. So, how does the individual receive delight, to experience delight as the outer appearances of delight? Wonderful, harmonious relationships, whatever the individual desires in the heart, as stated in Psalm 37:4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Well, the desires of the heart are given and fulfilled by God. I like how Neville Goddard articulated it. He said, "What you now desire, you already have, and you seek it only because you have already found it. You found it in the form of desire." This is exactly what I mean when I say it. Desire means having. As I know, created in the perfect image of the Creator, my true nature is delightful. Thus, you are delightful, as you and I are no different. Delightfulness is your true nature. To imagine otherwise would generate illusory experiences that are not from the premise of truth. I and the Father are one, and the Father is greater than I. I can thus experience greater delight each moment with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive. And as you and I are no different, so can you. Thus I say, God is the only reality, and the reality of God is delightful. Joshua 1:3, I promise you what I promised to Moses. Wherever you set foot, you will be on land I have given you. Experience reality through the single eye of God. Only delight is real. Everything else are illusory shadows that only appear to disappear. So, how can we accept that which we already have? For the individual who has not realized that they already have, they can practice prayer. Neville says, prayer is an art and requires practice. Its exercise requires tranquility and peace of mind. Use not vain repetitions, for prayer is done in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. This was inspired from Matthew 6:6, where it states, When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. It also says in Matthew 6:8 here, For your Father knows the things you have need of before you ask him. For your Father knows the things you have need of before you ask him. Why is that the case? Well, that's because creation is in a complete state of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. If the individual thinks in terms of separation from the fact that the source of fulfillment is complete love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, they may have developed a habit to seek for what they desire externally, which is an illusion. Happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, love is experienced with appearances. The appearances are manifestation of our true nature. So anytime a desire arises from the heart, I know certainly that it was given to me by God and thus is already fulfilled by God. This way of articulating what I learned over the years since I started applying this information in 2004 when I read Think and Grow Rich, I never heard before. Yet I'm putting it out there here because I trust that many will benefit greatly from this articulation. Because let's say if I heard this kind of articulation in 2004, it would be very clarifying, and I would not doubt that my desires were fulfilled, because it is crystal clear, as I know that I am pushing out pure delight. Pure consciousness is delightful. What I desire, I already have, and I seek it only because I have already found it. Yet I found it in the form of desire. Desire is having. And all I do is accept. Thank you. I have. That's prayer. That is how I take delight in the Lord. Psalm 37:4. As God gives you your heart's desires. God gives and fulfills. There's no separation. We don't see separation here in this particular quote. Again, it's what you now desire, you already have. And you seek it only because you have already found it. You found it in the form of desire. Separation from God is an illusion. I and the Father are one. Yet the Father is greater than I. So I receive the desires within, and they're fulfilled by the Father. And they're experienced as greater degrees of delight, with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive. To imagine otherwise would be unwise. It would be unwise because to imagine otherwise would generate illusory realities of separation, which the individual truly does not desire. So when he says prayer is an art and requires practice, we apply what Mark 11:24 states with respect to prayer. It says, Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it. Received it, as in you already have it, and it will be yours. And how do I know that this is true? Well, from personal experiences, I applied autosuggestion, statements of acceptance of that which I already have. In Think and Grow Rich, it was articulated to write it down in statements that imply already having it. and read them when you wake up and prior to going to sleep. So I did it. I followed the instructions, and I was able to get out of $50,000 debt, which was my first definite chief aim. No stress, no frustration, unless there were moments where I was identifying with doubts, fear, indecision. Now, that is what I mean by it would have been beneficial to hear this articulation then. But I also know that it was the result of those identifications that were generating illusory realities through which I was not witnessing this kind of information, as those illusory realities were the result of identification to untrue beliefs, from which I would automatically be oriented to look for validation or confirmation of those beliefs. Now, during the journey to manifesting that first definite chief aim and the subsequent definite chief aims that followed, moving up in my corporate career to a higher degree of success, where I was met with a fork in the road. Do I want to continue moving into management position and higher? It was a Fortune 500 company, so it was very promising, we could say. Or do I follow my heart's desire, which again was received within? The desire arose, was to start my IT business, which I did, and again, applied this information to build to success from 2009 to 13. I transitioned away from that, moved into consulting, grew that to success, and applied this information in many areas of my life. So a key insight for you from personally applying this information successfully is the understanding that beyond the illusory realities of separation, God's creation is in a complete state of fulfillment. I refer to this as ideal state of consciousness, or pure consciousness state, or pure state of consciousness, which is a delightful state to be in, experiencing life through the God self concept, which we discussed recently. I'll link in the description to it. You could say I would slip in and out of that state because of the identification to illusory imaginal acts. And again, no shame and condemnation. Opportunities were presented to release those identifications. How did I release those identifications? Like we discussed in Thursday's video, which I'll link to in the description, by being still and knowing that I am pushing out pure delight. Being still in the presence of God, releasing the identification to the untrue thoughts, releasing identification to the untrue thoughts in relation to emotions, thus allowing the emotions to be released, and experiencing, as stated here in Psalm 37:4, taking delight in the Lord. So by being still in the presence of God, again, be still and know that I am. That's God's name. Exodus 3:14. And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. So by being still, I take delight in the Lord, and God gives me my heart's desires. I know that, certainly. Mind is purified from those untrue, illusory, imaginal acts that, if identified with, generate illusory realities of suffering. I choose to be as I am, as I and the Father are one, yet the Father is greater than I, and you and I are no different. We are here to experience more and more delight. Delight is infinite, as the Father is greater than I. So can I witness the greatness of the Father in various forms of delight as the outer appearances of God? Loving, harmonious relationships, business success, flow-based journey to actualizing it, wonderful conversations, wonderful life experiences. Before praying as though I have received, I would not understand what to do with the desire. Certainly, Think and Grow Rich helped me with that. When he spoke about the burning desire, and how when you have a burning desire, it means you already have it. It means that it's done. It means some way, somehow, it's going to appear. And it does. This is over 20 years of applying this information. It works out. Why does it work out? Because true nature is love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. That's all I desire. All I desire is to be as I am, to live from my true nature, which is love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. This is the case with everybody that I spoke with, who also applied this information, that I've consulted with over the years. All they truly desire is to acknowledge that they already are love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, and experience that as outer appearances of God in, on, and as wonderful, harmonious relationships, wonderful, harmonious business, wonderful, harmonious life experiences. And so when he says prayer is an art that requires practice, the way I relate to this is based on particular conditioning in mind. I would think in terms of separation. So when I would pray, I would not pray as though I already received. And after prayer, I would look for signs of the fulfillment of prayer, judging by appearances, rather than acknowledging prayer as a form of acceptance that God has already done it for me. It's already done. So this nuance point shifted things around for me a lot easier and faster. It was easier for me to accept that desire means having. In the earlier stages, that would have been confusing. The very statement that I say, desire means having, would have been confusing to me. Why would it be confusing at that time? Because I would judge by appearances. So I would say, if I desire this, whatever it may be, ideal harmonious relationship, etc., and I have it, where is it? Where are the visible signs of it? Where is it? Doesn't appear to be here, doesn't appear to be there. What is being referred to here is unconditional acceptance, knowing that I am fulfilled. The easiest way that I found to apply prayer in this way is to actually be still and experience delight. You can right now experience delight. Take a moment to be still. Allow the thoughts that are untrue to disappear. Those thoughts arise from what the Bible refers to as the old man. You no longer identify with illusions of separation from God. I and the Father are one, yet the Father is greater than I, so I can experience delight more and more so. I found it in the form of desire. I have. By being still in the presence of God, I experienced delight of God. Love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. I desired something, and by identifying with separation-based thinking, I may have asked the questions, where is it? Where is it? And by being still and experiencing that I am fulfilled, I know that I am pushing out pure delight. I know experientially, I feel it. I experience delight, and I know certainly the prayer is answered. I practice this again and again and again. And as a result of practicing this over the years, it became easier. Anytime a desire arose, thank you, I have. Thank you, I have. And it would appear as the outer appearances of God. What do I mean by outer appearances of God? I see the true nature of God as love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. And so when I experience it, or witness it as outer appearances, I say, there's God appearing. There's God appearing as harmonious relationship, in nature, in life experiences. Can you witness God everywhere? Certainly, God is everywhere, as delight is everywhere. There's only delight. Experiencing delight through the single eye of God. We discussed this recently. I'll link in the description to it. This is experienced more so as mind is purified from the illusions of separation through prayer. Prayer releases the illusions of separation from desiring to know and experience true nature, which is delightful. If true nature is delightful, then you are delightful. Maybe you thought in relation to the conversations that you're having with people about experiences in life that you are not delightful, which is certainly untrue. Certainly, it is untrue. As pure consciousness is delightful. It is pure delight. Pure delight. There is no separation in pure consciousness. Thus you are pure delight. Delight means of light. In Genesis, and God said, "Let there be light." And pure consciousness is pure delight. Anything that appears in mind to suggest otherwise is unwise. Release those identifications through prayer. Anytime a desire arises from the heart, thank you. Capture the feeling in the presence of God. Take delight in the Lord, and God will give you your heart's desires. So, on the journey to manifesting your desires, we have the opportunity to pray as applicable. If doubt arises in mind, if reactivity arises, be still. Release the illusory thinking. Accept delight. Take delight in the Lord in that moment, and mind is purified. And what happens? Well, I've done this over the years, and what I noticed is moments where I used to experience illusions of separation, let's say in conversation, I would experience illusions of separation. We articulated this very precisely in a recent video with respect to conversations. I'll link in the description to this video. Before conversations, during conversations, after conversations. If in my mind thoughts would arise, illusory thoughts of separation would arise in my mind, by practicing this, they just won't arise anymore. They just do not appear in mind as those illusory beliefs that were generating the thoughts that belong to the old man disappeared. Which is why I always say illusions only appear to disappear. Only God is real. God is reality. Reality is bliss. Everything else are illusions that only appear to disappear, as in the end, there's only God. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. You could say, I know that I am pushing out pure delight, as pure consciousness is delightful. And as I have been created in the perfect image of the Creator, I experience more and more delight with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive. I and the Father are one, and the Father is greater than I. Thus I can experience greater delight each moment with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive. For I know that I am pushing out pure delight. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.